Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the 18th day of the New Earth Summit. Now in its third year, India's first integrative summit on solutions to our problems in health, food, farming, and environment. I'm Sophie Sequeira from Earthkeepers Goa, your host for this evening. And I extend a warm welcome to our topic presenter, Darryl D'Souza, also on behalf of our 10 Earthkeeper groups in India and overseas. We express our gratitude to you all for taking time out to be with us this evening and to share your insights and experiences so that all watching this live webinar and its recording later may benefit from the holistic science and wisdom being presented on this platform, which will help us all co-create a beautiful world. So our topic for today is life, food, health, homes, products, education, and currency by plants. I'll introduce you to Darryl D'Souza, who has been teaching people how to reverse chronic illnesses with integrated natural therapies for over 16 years. After his own suffering of 14 years due to chronic illnesses that almost ended his life in 2004 due to modern medicine failing him. His book, Become Healthy or Extinct, and his lectures, seminars, webinars, workshops, and residential retreats on the healing of mind, body, and spirit are highly sought out. Darryl was the secretary of the World United Doctors and Healers Association for 5 years, during which he curated and convened their annual continued medico-spiritual education conferences. Darryl is also an industrial engineer, organic farmer, environmentalist, TEDx speaker, founder of Earthkeepers Connect, ambassador of Vegan Nation, convener of the New Earth Summit, and a speaker at the World Parliament on Spirituality. For over 20 years, Darryl has been researching soil, plant, animal, and human biology, marine biology, planetary ecology, and holistic living as well, which has inspired him to launch the New Earth Summit as a platform to showcase their integrated and symbiotic functioning. His work is detailed on darryldesouza.com. So for the first hour of this webinar, Darryl will be making a very interesting presentation on today's topic, and then we will open up for question and answers with our audience at 7 p.m., who can type in their questions in the Q&A box below even before that time. If you would like to receive the recorded video of this webinar, or you want to share it with others, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, The New Earth Summit. Darryl, could you please go ahead with the presentation? Thank you.
Thank you, Sophie, and good evening to everyone. I will be making a presentation that has got some nice pictures to illustrate what I want to explain about how important plants are and the basis of this whole work, what I call the tree economy or plant economy. Okay, so what is in front of you are chairs, and on the left hand side there are chairs that are made of iron, and we have these in our homes. And on the right hand side you can see chairs that are made of wood. Now of course the first wooden chair is a bamboo chair, and the next one probably of teak. So from where, how do these chairs come to us? Through what process? What is the source? So on the left hand side you can see a factory that's melting iron. Of course before that there is mining that happens. So to get these chairs you have to create an entire industry, and you can see the railings there and the roofing there, and even the big melting pot, the furnace, the transfer vessel. even that is made out of metal. But on the right hand side, you can see a workshop from where the chair is made. Now, most of what you can see in the workshop on the right hand side is wood, and probably even the pillars, the framing, the walls of wood, probably even the roof is of wood. So now all of that iron, the machines, the factory, everything, it comes from making holes in the earth by mining. And that is, so by going down and making holes and boring deeper and deeper and creating uh, all of these craters. But on the right hand side, you can see that nature is bringing up to us and offering us the resource of wood. So looking at the chairs again on the left hand side. Now this iron chair, for how long is it going to last? The one on the left, I have some in my backyard. They rusted in about 5 years. Then the next one next to it is probably a little bit of cast iron. Yeah. So these chairs, iron chairs, are probably going to last you what, 30, 40, 50 years, 60, 100 years, 120. And the chairs on the right hand side, let me talk about the teak chairs. I've got teak chairs in my house. I'm sitting on one right now. That is over 100 years old. Now, even if those iron chairs, if they get corroded after some time, 100 or 200 years, then that is lost forever. You have to go mining and make more holes in the earth to get a new chair. But on the right hand side, you could just be growing another teak tree. In 30 years, it would grow so tall that it could make you 4 5 chairs at least. So what I'm trying to say over here is, on the left hand side, we had non-renewable resource. On the right hand side, we have a renewable resource that we can renew at the pace that we want, in the location that we want. Of course, we first go to forests and cut them down and exploit them. But if you have your own land, you can plan for your building materials, and many things like you can see in that carpentry shop are made of wood. So it turns out that making a wooden chair, and even if this wooden chair it lasts for 100 years or 200 years, right? Within 200 years, you would have so many trees growing that could make you many more chairs. So you have excess supply than what your demand is, if you will choose to grow trees continuously or wherever possible. So by this picture, I just want to illustrate that uh, we have two routes. One is making our products from all non-renewable resources that are damaging the planet, and also creating those factories that start using up all those materials and make holes in the earth. On the right hand side, we have plants that can do at least, things like this. So plant is a renewable resource, and even if you go on a land and there are less plants, you can increase that renewable resource and become more prosperous on the land. And this can go on for thousands and thousands of years. Now, the second aspect, we know that yes, plants are food as well. And plants are the only things on this planet that make food. Animals do not make food, they eat plants that are their food. So we have the vegetarian animal eating plants, and then we have the non-vegetarian animal eating the vegetarian animals. Same thing happens in the marine kingdom as well. Now, we have to understand about life on this planet and where we came in, and what role that plants play in our life. So obviously, human beings could not live on this planet till the time some range of plant-based food was available. So if we just had grasses, whenever this time of evolution on this planet, uh, if there were only grasses, and we all know progression, as time goes forward, uh, structures and plants also become more and more complex. They change over time over the weather patterns. So at a time where there were very few and small plants and there were no fruiting trees, for example, human beings could not exist on this planet. So all of the different plant materials, whether it's like these broccoli, I think is growing in lettuce, and then there are some fruiting trees in the background, and probably some grains that have been harvested on the left hand side. Um, so our entire range of food that comes from plants, they bring to us daily our nourishment, and it is literally that all of our body, right, our physical vehicle, are created by plants. Because if you stop, eating this food, you will dry up and die, of course. So in effect, human beings are the products of plants. Just think about it. We can also be called the produce or the children of plants. And if not for plants, and if not for their capacity of bringing together the five elements to make food and to grow themselves, right? So you have the five elements of earth, water, fire, air, space, where earth and water come from Mother Earth, fire, which is the sun element that makes the plants, capable of photosynthesis and creating their body and all the produce. That's the fire element. Then the space element is, of course, all everything around, which I call Father Sky. And then the air element is a combination of Father Sky and Mother Earth, uh, the gases. So it's literally plants are the only species on this planet that take together the finer elements and produce food. So that is the point that I wanted to make about life, and how intricately we are connected, and our life depends on plants. If they don't do their work, of course, we will perish. Of course, if the sun also stops shining, then the plants don't get to do their work, and then we will starve as well. So from life to food, and all the food that we eat on a daily basis, that gives us our nutrients, that goes into our blood, that makes the blood, cerebrospinal fluid, all our hormonal secretions from our endocrine glands. And through those secretions, we experience, our life, our attitudes, and all of these amazing hormones, whether it is dopamine or serotonin or melatonin, right? All of our creativity, our capacity of creativity. When I'm teaching people about having capacity of creativity, I always tell them to eat a good range of fruits, because they have got the natural sugars along with their minerals, vitamins, fiber, and all of that, that give human beings the capacity and entire range of whatever we can do physically, mentally, and emotionally as well. So, going further from food, the next is medicine. So much of medicine is created from herbs, from flowers like aromatherapy. Even I use herbal teas as medicines, and of course, many Ayurvedic herbs or Chinese herbs that are used in medicine. So, for medicine, we have two aspects of plants. One is what Hippocrates said: let food be thy medicine, and medicine be thy food. So it turns out that 70% of your chronic illnesses like high BP, cholesterol, diabetes, and all of that uh, can be reversed if you eat the right kind of healthy foods in the right season, and if they are local and organic or natural. So most of health comes from there. But when we make mistakes in that area, then we have to rely on herbs for healing. So plants give us our medicine for good health as well. Then the next is from plants we can make our homes. Homes like these, of course, if you are doing it on the land, for the foundation you will need stone, which is of course on the surface of the land, and you will need mud, you will need lime, or whatever natural dyes and colors that you want to use from plants also. And your entire home, a natural home, can be built by stone, mud, wood, and other plant material. So as we go through this and progress in this presentation, I just want you to keep at the back of your mind when we open up for Q&A, what are the things that you will not get if you're in a community like this from plants? And let's see if the list is a short one or a long one, because we always want to have a comfortable life. So let's look at what are the things we want in our daily lives and how they can come about, and whether plants can do everything. So here are just some products of one plant which you can make out is the bamboo, and there are literally over 100 products that can be made from bamboo. Even like those drinking cups, drinking water bottles, and so many, of course. The chair that you saw, basket, caskets. This is a very small range that is in front of you. Then it is said that there are about 120 products that can come just from the coconut tree. And of course, they are in coastal places, but they can be manufactured as a local cottage industry in coastal places and sold all over the country. Uh, at the bottom on the right hand side, I have uh, soup bowls made of coconut shells, big coconut shells. I also have a wine goblet made of coconut shells. So really amazing range. Then here you have the palm or areca nut leaf products, cutlery and spoons and cups, plates that I've been using, for all of my uh, different meetings where people come to. We sell all of this at the organic markets. Then here's a wonderful tree, which is the hemp, and you can see the list of things that can be made from hemp. I have a backpack, I had shoes. Uh, you can even make bricks from hemp, fabric, cotton, kind of hemp cotton, and body care products, building materials, yeah, food. So those were just 3, 4 of those plants, and of course we have thousands of plants that we can make things of. Now, all of this knowledge, right? When you do something like an eco village or eco community, it can come in by the people who come to build the community, and that's what I'm working at in Goa right now. So once you have enough number of people with the right kind of skill sets, then you have all the knowledge in house. You really do not need to go onto the internet or have computers at your place to Google up this and that. People would have already done that. The reason why we have to do that now is because we had forgotten the community living model earlier, where knowledge was passed down from generation to generation for that locality, which was a great expertise for that locality. What the building materials, the food, the natural products, what we call, in an asset-based community development model for Goa, cannot be the same as what you use in Cairo, in Egypt, because of all the materials over there will be different. So, uh, so the starting point is all of this knowledge we need to gather and bring people together to start making this eco village. And the reason I mentioned the computer was because the design of eco village that I've done, we don't need computers to run that place at all. Um, I mean, we will be having few of them, which is in our knowledge center and our education center. But life is designed in such a way that everybody doesn't need a laptop or a computer, because the reflection is from where do the materials that build those machines, from where do they come? Again, they come from mining, from excluding, taking out crude oil to make all the plastics and all of that. So that kind of model is the one that has brought this entire world to a state where these non-renewable resources are getting over in the next 15, 20, 25 years. And if we do not think very clearly in the direction of how can we have life, build homes, and have all our products and services without taking any non-renewable resources from the earth, if we do not start not only thinking and working at it, there are communities across the globe who are doing it, but the number needs to increase. If we don't do it now, then we have no future beyond 25, 30 years. So what I'm presenting now is principles and models and ideas that will stop all of that extraction and use things that are renewable on the surface of the earth. So lesser time and energy spent getting into the earth, creating all of those machines and earth movers is also coming from a lot of mining. So this model, what I'm talking about, will take us through the next 25,000 years as compared to 25 years right now. So now we'll see how we can make that place comfortable. And in the Q&A round, you can ask me all of those questions of your basic needs and uh, other priorities in life for your daily requirements. So the education also to build a community like this is very different from the education that we have all been getting from the great universities across the globe that have manifested this world that is going to collapse in the next 25 years. And uh, the education in this kind of community is very different. It is something, if any of you have heard of the Waldorf education or the Steiner model, it's an experience-based learning model. And this picture that you see here is something like that, where people learn in a live environment, because nature itself is a laboratory and a teacher. So children learn more through mimicry, and that's the biggest mistake we are making, putting them in closed classrooms and basically showing them pictures and textbooks of leaves, whether when they could really experience and touch and feel, experience every leaf and every plant around them. So instead, we teach them mathematics, and that's not a skill that starts developing innately in the human body at the age of 4. All species on this planet, and including human beings, we learn through mimicry. So you will see that at the ages of 3, 4, 5, children will learn a lot of things through mimicry in an open school with the real material. So typically from by the age of 15, children in such environments, they know how to grow plants, how to grow food, how to make food, how to use natural building materials, how to even make a natural home, and all the basic things in life that you will see that the indigenous people, uh, have been working at. Maybe making musical instruments and all will come a little later. But by the age of 15, by the age of 18, such children will come out as ready for life with professional skills to start earning a living. Isn't this much better than what we are doing right now, where children can come out only at 22, 23 years of age And most of us who have been in this system, many of us, I would say, not most, like for myself, like an engineer, I've completely quit that field and I'm doing something closer to life right now. So this education system in what I call, so in this picture also, it's not of our eco village in Goa. I just took it off the internet. But there's somewhere on the right hand side, you can see some structures and maybe that's an education center. So in places like this, the real education about the source of life, the flow of life, the flow of nutrients, understanding about water, understanding about forests, understanding about how to keep the five elements in their purity, because in the environment like this you see earth, water, fire, air, space, all in their natural element. And that was a talk that I gave at the third world parliament on spirituality, uh, dharma and the earth keepers, where human beings are the only species on this planet who have violated their dharma, which is their basic duty, which all other species on the planet are doing. And what is that? They use the five elements in their purity and they never contaminated or changed their form. And they had life through it, through their food and all of that. Took in the air oxygen, give out carbon dioxide, but that is balanced in nature by trees. But human beings are the only ones who took the air, put it in automobiles, and put out smoke and took the water, contaminated it, made effluents out of it. For so many products, and all of this contamination of these elements is happening to produce goods and services that are actually not required for good and healthy life. So when you live in an environment like this, that's the only time you will learn real products and services and how to keep nature as it is and how to let it flow naturally. Now, in spaces like this, you know, where it's written on top, sacred herbs. Now, I had started having amazing experiences with sacred herbs since 2015. And there are certain range of plants that when you have them, they take you into deeper states of awareness where you start getting very deep lessons. Your energy body expands, your mind expands, and they start teaching you things of the plant kingdom. And that's basically where I got my deeper experiences of how uh, all of these nutrients flow from the plants. I saw all of these things visually. Of course, now when I'm presenting it to you on uh, you know this presentation, it's easy to understand and the logic that plants have created us. And I go to the extent of saying that plants are the biggest hand of God on this planet. If we say God is the creator, then scientifically we can prove this, that plants are the biggest active, daily acting hand of God on this planet because they create food. It's from them that all of us, all insects, critters, snails, snakes, reptiles, all have life. So now all of this, deeper understanding I got from uh, plant medicine. And of course, I also, since I am in the field of spirituality, uh, and I've written my book in Become Healthy or Extinct, which is mainly a book on health, I have explained how the human body and the human energy bodies, what you call the chakras, how they go into, each goes into maturity every 7 years. And that's why you have puberty happening at the age of 14, because that's from your root chakra. That's the first one. Then you go to your next center, which is your sexual chakra, and that matures at the age of 14. And that's why you have puberty happening at that time. And then in another 7 years, you have your sense of self or your character building completely, and that's happening in the area of your solar plexus. Then in another 7 years, you have the full maturity of your heart center. Next 7 years, your communication center, which is your throat center. The next 7 years, it goes into your third eye, or the wider wisdom and the deeper, insight you get from life. And at the age of 49, your crown center, that is your God connect, your spiritual center, gets mature. So this is a very detailed science. Those of you who are interested in understanding the human body, mind, and spirit very deeply, please read that chapter of metaphysics in my book. And then further on it, I'm writing a book on spirituality that will come out next year. So what I wanted to share was, in ancient India or many places across the world, the position of a teacher would be given to somebody only who had crossed these 49 or 50 years. Because you have 7 energy centers into 7 years, it takes you about 49 years, 50 years. And only those people who had all the energy centers, that means whenever you speak, your communication, that means you have a deeper insight of what you're saying, and that the spiritual, the God connect, the spiritual wisdom is also there in the words that you speak. So, so this, as people grow up and they reach this age, it's a good time to start using plants, those plants which are called teachers, to give you deeper wisdom. Of course, some people are in need of lessons much earlier in life, so definitely they can use plant medicine to, get that understanding. And you would have heard of these plant medicines. One of them is ayahuasca. That I had all of my plant medicine journeys, they were very educative and taught me a lot of things of the structure of nature, the flow of life, what I call the living sciences. Uh, then I also had experiences with cannabis, and also with mushrooms, and also with something that's called peyote. So I have used all of those plant medicines as learning tools. Uh, and what happens is, some people, when they are younger and they try to use this, because of the profound experiences that they are not able to, understand them. And many of those experiences are so beautiful that they take them to what's called a high. And the trouble is that once you reach a high, and the high comes down, because all plant material that is taken, it will have its effect for some time, and then the effect goes down, even with the food or your nutrients. So when the high comes down, that's when they are, if they are in a life that is stressed, that has money problems, that has, self-doubt, that has relationship problems, then they feel that they are in a, they are in back to hell. And that becomes the point of addiction, where you want to escape hell and be in that beautiful place, that you very deep spiritual expansive experience place, that plant medicine and the teacher plants give you, the sacred plants. And that how somewhere in the world has got into addiction. But we need to understand that plants are very powerful. If they have given us life, when we mess up with them and we create genetically modified seeds, or we take natural food that should be fresh every day, and we make it into processed foods, then it contaminates our body, it brings in toxins, it disturbs our digestive system, it creates sickness. So plants do what they do. We have to learn the real life sciences of how to use them well. So they can give life and they can take life away too with sickness if you don't use them well. So this is a part of education that is taught in all the indigenous communities across the world. And because they got these very deep lessons from plants, that's why they respect plants to such a degree. And such kind of teachings have not been given in universities across the globe till date, and that is why this world is in such a sorry state. So what is taught here over a century has manifested this world, this artificial world where you see no nature, you can learn nothing from here. You can only learn what comes to you on the TV, on the radio, and the books manufactured by these universities that created this world where you're not having any of the five natural elements on a daily basis. You're eating foods that's poisoning you. You are living with stress, and it's a complete control system. Now, all that has come up from the earth like this through concrete and metal and bars and reinforcements, they've all come at the price of making holes in the earth. So this is the kind of education we get in our so-called universities across the globe, and I hope some of them are going and learning more about natural life and living systems and changing their curriculum. But it already seems that it's too late. So people like us who believe uh, and know that we have the right living sciences and we have the right principles, we should start creating our own, institutions and our own spaces, but always in nature, because nature is the real teacher. And plants are the greatest teachers from whatever I have experienced in my journeys. Now, this is the same model that has, created cities in one place, and then to feed that, population, they have done banking of rivers and created dams and stop the flow of water down, into the villages, and so many villages, thousands of villages on this planet where people were living naturally, uh, because we always live, people, there are always civilizations, they need water on a daily basis. So all of this dam culture that has stopped the water, dried up the rivers, has also killed so many river-based civilizations all across the planet. And the other problem is this: that they've contained people in these concrete jungles at one place, then they have to produce their food at another place far away, and that gives rise to this, what we presented yesterday, the food supply chain, which even my co-host Rahul Goswami says there should not have been any food supply chain. We should have been living in a place where food is grown probably half an hour, 1 hour, from our thing, and it should have come on a daily basis. So just to get something that villagers get and I get in my home now, because I grow food around my house, um, it doesn't take 15 minutes to come from the garden and be in the kitchen. Um, but now that is replaced with all of this material in between. So all these ships, trains, planes, factories, all of them come from making holes here. So the city-based model, keeping us away from our food, has and many other things. Now the next slide is about this. Because this food has to transit a long distance, all the packaging and processing and the preservatives and the stabilizers, which make us sick, as compared to fresh food that we could have got in the locality if we had planned it well, which was the earlier system. Uh, but then we had capitalists come in and make this entire system of control where they want to control our food, our building materials, all the machines that are so unnecessary, because things have been decentralized. I mean, because things have been centralized. Sorry. So, like I explained, all of these food formats also for their packaging materials, they use up all the resources from the earth, again plundering it. And that is why you have no access to medicine around your home, and they have taken control of our entire medicine system also. And basically giving us fake medicine which does not cure anything. Like all of you know now, the vaccine does not prevent you from getting COVID. It does not cure your COVID. It does not prevent you from transmitting COVID, and yet it doesn't prevent you from dying also from COVID. So many natural systems like Ayurveda or nature cure or homeopathy, or integrative natural medicine are actually taking care and curing people of COVID. So we have to understand that things have gone too far with these industries and with unnatural sciences and unnatural products. And yes, this is the further result of all these companies manufacturing all these things and all the transportation. You know, the manufacturing companies, they are putting effluents in the ground and smoke in the air, and also, you know, creating unhealthy environments for us to live in. On the left hand side is all the food packaging and transport industry. All of these vehicles, they come out from holes in the earth. And the right hand side, separating people and their food growing places, because people get jobs at places where food is made and food is served. So also they get jobs where all, you know, manufacturing of things are done. So everybody is traveling so much, so far, and all of these vehicles are coming, each of them, and even the petrol that feeds them is coming with a cost to the earth. And that's why we don't have more than 25 years that we can have, you know, the civilization can go ahead because of the lack of resources. So it's only now that we are understanding that the indigenous people who were the real earth keepers, meaning they kept the earth the way it was and they could sustain for 10,000 years. And here we come with all our modern hopeless sciences, and we've ruined it just within 200 years. And it's only after our mistakes and we are choking on our air and we are dying of all these unnatural medicines and we are leading stressful lives. And the money is also, even after working, we are all remaining poor, and the Indian farmers are, you know, committing suicide from debt. So we have to understand that all of this has happened because of unnatural systems and unnatural products. And this city model that has caused so much damage to the planet. So coming back to community, whatever you want to design now, this is a picture I just took. It looks a bit congested in the middle, but yeah, the way I've designed the eco village for Goa, things are a little bit spread out. But in the space, you can have a complete life with your manufacturing centers for natural products and your education centers, your arts and culture, your food growing centers, your eating centers, and it can be designed in a very natural way. Now, here are some calculations that I presented in a previous webinar, but just repeating it for those of you today who are new to it. And it is calculations about a certain size of an eco community that does not even require any vehicles, because you know that vehicles also come, the metal and the tires and all of that come from holes in the earth. Okay, so I'm going to relate everything to holes in the earth. And when I say holes in the earth, meaning I'm talking of things that are non-renewable. So please let us stop this entire destruction of the planet and look every day on what we're consuming from morning to night and what it is costing the earth. Because if we don't do that now, we have really no future. And we have to change those habits or those choices. So here is a simple thing. Actually, a person can walk 6 to 7 kilometers in an hour. And we are all doing this in our gyms, unfortunately, half an hour in the morning, half an hour in the evening. But we can do it naturally, walking in nature, you know, socializing and talking to people on the way, and interacting with so many things in our environment. So uh, one edge, like the length is, for example, 5 kilometers, the breadth is 5 kilometers, and then you get 25 square kilometers. Meaning that just to get you from there to any other point in the eco community, whether it is to work, your recreation center, to your food place, or your uh, any other utilities that you need to bring some, you know, products and all of that, uh, it would take you. Of course, you would not be living at one end, and the design is such that housing is done in such a way that lot of the other facilities around the place. So walking less than 5 kilometers, you could get anywhere. Maybe it's just 1 kilometer, and it's probably going to take you 15 minutes. So this model is based on that, and we can have so many villages like this uh, that are self-sufficient and having everything that they need. Okay, so a self-sustained village for all regular needs. So I've just put in cycles or tricycles for some people who think that they need it, but we also should understand, yes, it is also causing holes in the earth. So you can still do with walking. And then I just kind of put tricycles there because we will have youngsters, we will have senior citizens who cannot walk. So yes, for them at least we could do this. So it works out to 6,177 acres. This model can be done even in a smaller place like 1,000 acres, which is what we're trying to do with the eco village in Goa. But this is to cater to a larger number of people. And a very nice model with villas that is no multi-storied buildings. So you don't need concrete and you don't need metal and all of that. In fact, in our eco village, you don't even need glass for the windows. We are going to be making window grills so that animals and all don't come in, of wood, carved, beautifully carved, artisan carved wood that is about 1 centimeter thick. And for the mosquitoes, we are going to be using cotton weaved mosquito nets instead of any plastic or aluminum that I have been using here in Goa. So yes, you can do windows and be free of mosquitoes without glass. So 4 bedroom villa, this is just a model for 8 people. It's for one family, two parents, let's say two children and four grandparents. Uh, within a 500 square meters plot. And so every house, this built up area of this 4 bedroom villa takes about 200 square meters. So you got 300 square meters around for your pets and your animals, making a small garden, parking your vehicles, everything like that. Now, just talking about the land that you're living on, this villa plus that, if you divide it by 8 people, it's about just 63 square meters per person. And with adding another 437 square meters, that is the amount of farmland that would be used to produce food for you as an individual. You would be accessing public area, the common water body, whether it's a lake or it's groundwater, then all the common spaces. So that's a portion to each person. So overall, each person is engaging about 500 square meters. And so if you look at the entire 25 square kilometers, very comfortably, just with ground level villas, which I had explained earlier in the health program, why are these ground floor villas without air conditioning, with natural ventilation, where walking bare feet, you get many opportunities in the day to come out to get sunlight. Why is that healthy? I have explained in an earlier webinar. So, and of course, everybody would like to, live in their family unit by themselves. And of course, in the eco village, for the convenience, there is a common kitchen. Many facilities are common, but every family would definitely like to have their own private time. And if there is a water body or a lake, that's common to, 3, 4 of such villages could have a common water body. For example, small state like Goa, we since we have about 12 lakh people. So all that we need to do is have about 24 of these zones to take care of our population. Of course, it's already there, and whatever is there existing, we could design it to work in a nice holistic way. And this is for greenfield projects where you do it completely new. So it's very much the old design that was there since centuries. Uh, and with all of this modern innovation and this hopeless model of cities, we began to uh, uh, forget these natural time tested village designs. But now it's turning out that we have to get back to it. So some things that just a brief mention of our eco village. uh, just to show you the different areas. It is designed to be a self-sufficient village that will have products and services that will generate income. So we are planning for a very prosperous place, a very functional place that will have not only staying capacity for people, but also staying capacity for visitors who will come to our education centers, to our wellness centers, to our recreation centers. Because this is the design we want to share with people, not only in India, but across the globe. Because we have clearly understood that this is the future of this planet if we want to survive and have a healthy and beautiful life. So you can see all the different centers that are just like how you would have in the modern world. But each of these centers comes with the correct analysis of its requirement and its proper functioning as per natural laws. And it's also being done in a phase-wise manner. So in the first phase, the main builders, the scientists, the people who are going to work on the land, they come in the first phase. Then in the second phase, we have the teachers who come in and the medicine people who come in and start setting up all those facilities. And then finally, we have the people who are, going to reside over there, who are not builders and not teachers and not, um, scientists. And then besides that, we will have, surplus accommodation for all the visitors and the wellness center, education center, and all of that. So just last slide on that is that uh, yes, the founding members will be people who will bring in money to build all of these facilities, or we may have a joint venture with the landowner and create this community because the community is going to create products and services. So it's like a business as well. So we are also looking at that option where we could get into a joint venture with somebody who has the land so that we don't have to pay for the land, at least all of it. We could pay for some of it. And then we could show a very detailed, business plan that would return money to the owner. Because anyway, what will the owner do what will they do with the money? They are going to invest it in some other industry. And is that industry costing the earth? That is, very important. So now in this community, the funding will come from some of the, core members, and it's about 2 crores for this 500 square meter, space, which is the normal land cost in Goa if it's done if it's a good place. And um, then additional to that is the building material cost of this wonderful villa. So generally this would cost about 3 crores, but we are trying to get key people come in first with this, and then whatever funding is short, we could get loans because this is the proper business plan. And then there will be some people who do not have money. So here are some details, and any of you who want to get into it and are really interested, go to my website, darryldesouza.com. Over there, you'll see on that one page itself, Eco Village in Goa. And then you'll see this PDF document which you can download and you'll read all of this details there. So as long as people come there and they're ready to work, whether it is 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, or 3 hours in the morning and 3 hours in the evening, uh, 5 days a week again, because we're trying to keep it very comfortable. If they've got out from the rat race, we need to make things much easier here for a holistic and beautiful life and a healthy life. So, um, yeah, so people who, do not have any funds, then they can always come in. But like I mentioned, it'll have to be as per the phases of the project. That means the first phase, mainly the people who are building the community. The second phase, the people who are, teaching, and the healers and therapists. And the third phase would be people who want to stay there. So it's people come in with the skills that they have and that they can give those services or make those kind of products in the community. And one principle is that, so I'll come to that currency part of it. One principle is that everybody's time is valued the same. Whether you were educated in Harvard or whether you were educated in the village, as long as you're putting in time to a certain thing, certain amount of time, you get the same kind of uh, not payment. For example, if most of this is a barter. So if you do the 3 hours per day, then you are going to get your stay free. And if you do the 6 hours per day, then you're going to get your stay and your food free and certain basic, goods and services that are necessary part of life. And if you do more than that, because you're enthusiastic and you want to do something, then there will be a local currency of the community. So I'll come to that. And with that local currency, you can, well, take some days off and pay a little bit of your rent, or you can give that, use that currency for your friends or visitors who come in the community to stay, and you can gift them a stay or some health treatment or some education program. And of course, there are details for children and senior citizens who are dependents. They can be there in the community, but they have to be there with some, they are dependent on something. So the core people who are living in the place, that base has to be there. Now, finally coming to currency and money. Now, once you're in a eco village like this, where knowledge is complete, where actually people do not need currency much if they are active in the community, or even if they've got their grandparents and all, staying in the villa. It's just a man and a woman who is working. They could, their children don't need to work, and the poor grandparents don't need to work. So just by doing your part, then the rest of your family could get all their stay and food and basic goods and services. So there is actually no basic need for daily transactions. But like I said, people will put in more time and they will want some value for it. So that value can come from the community in a very natural way. It has been happening earlier also. So instead of again, mining metals, whether it is gold, silver, or nickel or whatever, we can have a simple currency made of clay. Of course, for it to be made unique, there has to be a proper detailed insignia that can be stamped with the die that is very specific to that community. So all those details are there. Uh, so people can use a local currency for exchange within the community. Now, the important part to understand is once you are self-sufficient in your community. Now, of course, when we build the community, uh, we will have to buy uh, building materials and contract laborers and so many people from outside the community. So yes, the existing money system that is there. You will have some money with you, then you can pay that, because the outside world is just going to use gold or silver or printed currency. So you only need printed currency with you till the time your community is built. Once your community is built, then you are self-sufficient, and you actually do not need anything from the outside world. You could be taking a barter from another community. So I'll come to that part. But the main thing about asset-backed currency. So if your community, what are the real assets? The real assets is your land, is the minerals inside your land. Of course, you will not want to mine it if you worked out your model well and you do not need to create machines to do the mining and all of that. So that's an asset that will always be there. But that's the value of a community. The land, the water, then most important is the trees and all the plant kingdom that's there in your community. You can increase the value of that, and even double it if your land has not got so many trees. So that is a renewable asset. And the reason why I showed all of these aspects of the plant kingdom, that they give us life, they give us food, they give us medicine, they give us all so many of our utensils, they build our homes, they build our boxes, our chairs, and everything, right? So that's why the trees are the real asset, and the amount of trees, the kind of trees that you have in your land that can be converted to goods and services, that is the actual real asset valuation. And isn't it great that an intelligent community who can take care of their trees will have a higher valuation than those who have not taken the trouble or don't know the science and the trees are going down? Then obviously they are an unsuccessful community. And why should they have a higher valuation in the first place if that's the way they are going down? This is the natural law of nature itself. Those who are successful with the natural sciences, they survive. Those who have made mistakes, those civilizations perish. So, um, so that is one point that I wanted to make. This is the real world of real assets, and all of this, is what I call asset-backed real currency. The real currency of between people is, of course, energy and work and products and services. Even a product in the village that's made over there will have the number of man hours that have gone into that product, and so the basis of that pricing is very concrete. And then, of course, if there'll be a store, many stores in the community for when people come from outside to buy, and there'll be a margin that the store person will put on that. So all those things will be regulated to be very ethical. And once your community is self-sufficient, then what would gold or gemstone or paper money do for you? You only need what your community needs. So maybe you need some different kind of grains that do not grow well in your soil, or maybe the manufacturing capacity of your cloth and all is less. So you want cloth from the outside. You actually want goods, in barter, and nobody is going to take your coins in the outside world. So cross communities, it's mainly going to go as per barter. And then, of course, if you're having visitors and if you're having people coming in for education, for health, for retreats, and all of that, then you always, at your own free will, you have an inflow of this paper currency, which you can always pay off. So it actually turns out at one point of time, when you're self-sufficient, you don't even need the money from the outside world. And then it's up to communities to just decide, when people come from outside, how do they pay? Do they pay by money, or do they pay by something that the community needs? So what I've talked about is such a level of self-sufficiency where you are sitting on real assets, and the main asset is the entire plant kingdom that provides you everything that you need in life. And of course, the design we will talk of, sometime later, how houses are designed to work on less electricity or no electricity. I've lived like that in this home in Goa in the 1980s. A wonderful life. We used to get up at the time the sun would come up, and day used to end by the time the sun would go down. And then in the evening, we would just have some oil lamps and all of that. Now you can make that also oil you can make from the plant kingdom. So it's a renewable resource, right? Um, so very amazing, innovative, and creative way of living, and most of all health. And of course, we can make our spaces very comfortable, very beautiful, very artistic. Music, song, dance will all be live things happening in front of you in the community center, and not something that you need to put on the TV or the internet to switch on. You don't need. So the amount of electricity and all of that will also be very less. So now, how do we get ahead and implement such projects? Um, so I had already started this in one of the earlier webinars, where people who have this kind of knowledge, domain experts who have been doing these projects, and these are all the people that we have been showcasing and they have been presenting on the New Earth Summit, right from 2019. So we had 30 speakers in 2019. Then it went, because of COVID, it went to a webinar style. So we had 3 or 4 panelists in 2020, taking it to over 100 presenters. So all our videos are there. So it's 30 videos for mind, body, spirit, uh, changing our problems and into solutions. Okay, providing solutions for all of these things. So mind, body, spirit, health, then food and farming and environment solutions and sustainability, natural homes, rainwater harvesting, all of these. They are all the 3 years. That means even this year, it's all in the design of what I have called, new Earth, making of new Earth. So uh, to do this, of course, if you are going to get any of these guys from these existing universities, they are going to manifest the same mess that you are living. So you need to get people who are on this summit and similar thinking people from across India, across the world, and mainly work in your state to build at least the area that is there, which is still not used. You can start making these communities. And the concrete jungles that you have created, well, they have their time. Some buildings will fail after 10 years, some after 20 years, some after 30 years. And if you have these places ready and you've done a good job of making them self-sufficient and beautiful and healthy and artistic, then automatically people will come here. It's a no-brainer. You see, they are living in a sick place. And whenever they get some time or a vacation, they always come to the countryside. So there's no doubt that if we make beautiful places, people will transition to these places, and this is the time on the planet. I think all of these new green sciences are coming out by innovators and people who are thinking right and living by and practicing and teaching natural laws. So for that, here's a list of committees that we will be forming in Goa, and I think similar need to form in every state in this country and across countries. Basically, it's a people's movement where all of the us who want to live a natural life, and of course we are doing good work. Why would the government, be opposing? They would always welcome things and solutions. I mean, even 2 days back, I presented on an international BRICS conference, and they were so glad that the integrated natural medicine system that I had proposed, with the best of modern medicine along with complementary medicine, alternative medicine, and the ancient healing sciences. So even at the government level, people know they are in a complete mess, and our future is not showing more than 25 years. And who wants to perish and go out into the night? So we are. It's a very genuine effort where we can showcase all these uh, wonderful, systems. So it's there in health and medicine, natural food and farming. You know that these are all topics that are on the New Earth Summit. The jobs and green businesses webinar is still coming up, and even the webinars on this. water and ocean. And this is in for a big revamp, which is going on now across the world. Holistic education, basically the education that is teaching all these new integrated natural systems. So this is just a few of the committees. Then you will also have the power renewable energy or committee, or the existing electricity committee, roads committee, and all of that. But these are some of the very key ones to maintain and establishing this natural eco village. So I wish everybody thinks in this direction and starts working towards it. I am working with some groups who have also come up on the same model, and we're integrating this all of it in Delhi. So some of you are in Delhi, please get in touch with me. The dates for our integration meets are in December, of course, after the summit, and it's going to be on 8th, 9th, 10th in Delhi. So if you have designed such systems, or you want to understand them more deeply, you have doubts, and you want to get on the drawing board with us, definitely get in touch with me. I'll let you know how to connect with us. And I'm looking forward to people from across the country to also be part of this. These ideas are there with many people. They just want the right kind of people to associate with them and take the movement forward. And even now, wherever we have our wellness centers, this is what I started doing, in Jan of 2000, just before the pandemic started, at my wellness center in Goa, promoting this kind of eco community, and having the organic market with natural food, body products, and all of these utilities that we use from morning to evening every day. Then screening movies on these kind of innovative green solutions. We have to start, not waste any time, start educating people. And the best thing you can do is show people the videos of the New Earth Summit. We have a YouTube channel also, the New Earth Summit. And of course, you will have also another big range from across the world. But people in India do connect, and let's get on this job of making a beautiful world for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Darryl, for that wonderful presentation. I'll now be taking questions from the audience. In fact, we have our first question from Gaia Earth Sunset, who asks, how about the indigenous animals or the fauna? Do you see greater need for man-animal harmony and synergies instead of man-animal conflicts? Flora and fauna that includes humans must go hand in hand.
Yes, so there's a very important aspect of that. And that's where the domestic animals come in between. See, like our dogs, cats, chickens, our goats, and cows, and all of that. Because if not for these animals that were docile, we would only have the wild animals in the forest, and then it would really be always, the tigers and the hyenas and the foxes and the bears. It would have always been us against them. So the domestic animals are an interface which teaches we can interact with all of these other species, whether it's birds also, and squirrels or whatever. That it helps to bridge that gap, and for us to know these other species and be more compassionate to them, and understand also that each of them has their own environment. And this typical villa of 4 bedrooms with 500 square meters around it, it also allows the dogs and the cats, of your own home, to have their own territory, because they are, at least dogs are very territorial. And I've seen it in cities that when they're so close by, they're barking and fighting all the time. There's no territory to protect, you see. So we have to, so we have taken that also into the design of the eco community, that you must have space from your neighbors. You must have space to have these animals around you, to have social life with them, because they are the bridge to understanding other animals. Um, so yes, I think they are an integral part of our life, and but we have to include them and not exploit them, and especially torture them. Like, even that's why I have become a vegan, that is a person who only lives on plant-based produce, because I've seen it from the scientific angle aspect of it. I have seen very deeply on, not only through science, but in plant medicine, I've seen the flow of life and nutrients, like molecules and energy uh, through all of this. And I have completely understood the science of how human beings can completely live off, plant-based food. So we don't need the eggs of chickens, and we don't need to kill the bees and destroy their beehives, and we don't need to go and take the milk from the cow when it's supposed to be given to her calf. We don't need to torture animals, and that's what we were doing in our eco community. It's a threefold path of ahimsa, and one is non-violence to the human body, what I had presented, that is by all these toxic food and toxic body products. We're a living organism, and that subconsciously, or without knowing, we are trying to kill ourselves every day with these toxic products. The second was non-violence to the animals, so let them have their life, and let us have a social interaction with them. And then, of course, the third was non-violence to Mother Earth. And this entire city-based model, which I call the graveyards of humanity, is the biggest violence that has ever happened in the history of this planet and to Mother Earth. And it is time we correct it. And it's not just a scientific lesson that I am talking about. It's a spiritual lesson as well, which I spoke at the Third World Parliament on Spirituality. There's so much, and people, realize that how come this was not taught in our universities? How come it's not taught in schools? Well, I said, yes, it's not taught, and the result of that is this damaged and broken world that we are living in. So, yeah, it's high time.
Thank you for answering that. We have another question from Ashish Mukherjee. He asks, what is your experience of spiritual significance of Mandala Vatikas?
Mandala Vatikas.
Vatikas.
If you could just break down that term. Of course, I know what mandalas are, but Vatika, I don't know what that is. But uh, all of this is a subject that I teach in my spiritual retreats, of entire creation, how it happens, through how it happened and continues to happen every day, every minute as creation progresses through sacred geometry. So what is sacred geometry? It's the different forms, the natural living forms, and yes, I believe in that very deeply, and that's from where you have the design of natural homes. Anything that's natural will follow sacred geometry. Um, so yes, uh, I for me, it is a balance of both uh, science and spirituality, or intuition, or wisdom, or spirit participating. um, and I have it's on my spiritual website also, this topic in depth, um, of reality is what it is. When we perceive it more from our left brain, we see it as a science, and we know the science about it. When we perceive it from our right brain, we see the experiential aspect of it, and we call it as energy flow, and so that's the spiritual part of it. So yes, mandalas are a very deep aspect. When you see it from the scientific part, it's called sacred geometry. When you see it in form, flowing, and what comes out through your hands in pottery, or through your, carpentry, that's the experience of bringing out those sacred, shapes. If you're in tune deeper, you know, I've seen the flower of life, which is called, the starting point of sacred geometry. I've seen it at Taj Mahal also. I've seen it at the Golden Temple also, and which shows that all of these great masons who made these great structures, it's even in the pyramids, they knew that all of life comes through uh, design and through science of creator, and even the petals of a flower or a shape of a leaf, it also comes through the sacred geometry and mandalas. So, well, mandalas are also finally how all living things interact with each other and how their energy lines cross. And these you visually see during your, the sacred plant ceremony. And that's what I had been through also. I could see my energy lines, connecting with the earth lines and with the trees around me. It's a really beautiful experience. And uh, yeah, I finally wanted to say that this plant, medicine experiences should be done by people who are very senior and medicine men and shamans, because they are adepts in helping people experience these deeper sciences through deep, states of awareness.
Thank you, Darryl. Another question from Ashish Mukherjee. How many people have signed up for the community? And in a matter of currency, who will be the issuing authority? This is where the scam lies in the current central banking system.
Yeah, so we have about 40 people who are part of our co-village and want to be part of it. And besides that, there are another probably 150 who have been waiting since the last 5 years that I have been talking about it. But we are at the stage now of finalizing the land. We've seen 2, 3 places in Goa of 1,000 acres. And this all actually came to a halt when this, pandemic started happening uh, across the globe. So my attention also got diverted to certain fraudulent aspects of the pandemic that were coming through fake medical science, and that's when I got involved with Awaken India movement. So this community, taking up the land and all of that has slowed down. It's in a kind of pause since a whole year. Um, Yes, and in the community, yes, there's going to be an exercise of keeping books of the current assets of the community. The issuing authority, of course, will be within the community itself. We have a council, and currency first starts by, because your existing assets, right? They're your asset base. You're not creating them, most of it, to just sell it out. If you give anything from your community to somebody outside, they are most probably going to try to pay you in the fiat currency or gold and all of that. So only to the extent that you need something from the outside world, right? Because the outside world will give you only in this fiat currency. It's only the time that you need something. Till then, you will be okay with giving out products and services and taking fiat currency. But like I said, that cycle will complete in for us within, I think, about 3 years, or even till the third year. The third phase will be going on. Still, we will be taking, outside money. So it could be ending in 5 years. Within 5 years, we will not need any money from the outside world. And that's the time you could say our community, all the assets are completely developed. Now, at that point of time, even for outside people to come in, I mean, we don't need visitors and to give people, education or different things for their money, because we don't need their money. Maybe, they could give us some other kind of barter. They could bring some products that and services that we need. Even they would be wanting to teach us some things that are upgrading in the world or something. So we come to a point where the local currency is only being issued uh, on the basis of what is called sweat equity. Okay, that means um, if I am doing all of my work uh, at a regular level that pays for my staying and my food, then the equation is fine. I don't need money. But if I do something extra, and then I would like to have something in return uh, for that, right? What if I do extra? I want to account for it so I can use it somewhere in the community. Like I said, maybe I take some days off. I take 2 weeks off, and because of that, obviously, then my rent doesn't get paid. So I give this excess money that I make. So the issuing authority will be within the organization. It will depend on this person who does the excess work. It is logged, it is known in the community, there's a ledger maintained, and for that work, they get these certain different currencies will be there, like I said, by clay. So, but of course, there is a special stamp and emblem on it that is not easily copied. Uh, so that is what we will follow. So issuing authority will be within the community, and for this one reason that you have done the work, it is the return for your sweat equity that you have something in your pocket that you can start exchanging. So the generation of money happens at that point. It's not that we are going to be creating, so many clay coins, which is equal to all the assets that we have. There's no point in that, right? We because it does nothing for us. Uh, we are not going to sell this our assets out, and we don't want fiat currency from outside. So yes, I also wanted questions from the audience. If there were certain aspects of your daily life that you think in a eco village that you may not get. Like I said once before, we hardly need any mobiles over there because all of knowledge and the regular meetings and communication happens within the group. Uh, the eco village people themselves, the designers are knowledge complete. Of course, we will always have people from other eco villages. This is also an ongoing trend across the globe right now where seniors from certain eco villages they visit other eco villages to teach and also to learn certain things. So that's how cross learning from across the globe happens. And of course, the most important learning for an eco village is the science of your zone, your place, as per your trees, as per your environment, as per your soil. That's the most important thing. So we have to go back to indigenous wisdom and to the ancestors and to our villagers and to our tribals and learn so many things from them about our land. That's also part of the project. Welcome, Chandravikash. Good evening.
Yeah, namaste.
Welcome.
Hello. So, Darryl, my viewpoint, where I believe that there are two extremes kind of in play, which are both, I would say, in some kind of a time warp. So, one is the fossil fuel industry, and I'll just share one anecdote from very recent last few days. Is that after the COP26, there's a question
Can you
and answer.
explain that word to people? Everybody may not know the meaning of
right. So
COP26.
that's the Conference of Parties, or the 26th meeting of the United Nations Climate Change Convention that just completed in Glasgow on December 12th, just a few days back. And in that, there are targets set called net zero by 2050. Even our Prime Minister Modi has committed to get to net zero by 2070. He's shared some five-prong approach called Panchamrit. So that's also renewable energy, 500 gigawatts by 2030. So this is one part of it. Now, my point is that, as it's been widely published, that the largest delegation at this climate summit was the fossil fuel industry. And as a MP from, England, a few days later, I mean, just last 2 days, shared that his constituency is not concerned about, the Great Barrier Reef or whatever he believes to be misplaced urgency on climate action. Now, he says that my constituency is more concerned about the heating bill, and for that, Britain must tap its indigenous gas supply. So the word indigenous is being used in terms of accessing all the what they believe as their right to exploit all the fossil fuels. So that's one set of constituency in the time warp. I also see that at the other extreme a point of view like yours, which seems to be very cut and dried from the everyday jostles of the a large number of people who are marginalized, who are underprivileged, who are already victims of the current system. Children who are staring into darkness and and a bottomless abyss, not very far off, but maybe in just next 10-20 years. So in that, the kind of incrementalism that you seem to advocate, where you take just 1,000 acre in Goa at a time for, and then it gets interrupted by COVID, pandemic, and just 40 people. I think, it's time to step up and raise the bar and truly get cracking on creating a global mandate for eco villages, for like the 5x5 kilometer framework that you shared. That should become part and parcel of what I shared in the earlier session as United Nations Declaration for Rights of Indigenous People, which was signed unanimously by all the countries in 2007 itself. So it's already been 14 years. So unless we start asking very pointed and very strident questions, like how one lady journalist, I'm just missing her name, she asked Nancy Pelosi about the US military being the world's largest polluter and how you defend its continued expansion in the face of Abby Martin, I think was the journalist, in the face of commitments of net zero. And Nancy Pelosi made a very convoluted argument saying that, we see climate catastrophe as a national security threat. And because it's a national security threat, we need to expand the US military and its carbon footprint. So I think, both the segments, let me put it very candidly, have kind of lost it. They don't have the grip over the reality of, how bad the situation really is, how urgently we need to act on it at a much larger scale than what you seem to fathom. And that is where, my viewpoint on the LACE model and the LACE Gaia model, which is an integration where I'm questioning the very validity of the United Nations itself as the largest and the most influential world body. I mean, how come a body gives so much of veto power to the aggressors of the Second World War, and who in turn gets so co-opted by the oil industry and now with the pharma industry? So unless we give a roadmap which specifically tells people that if you want to create a plant-based economy, and I also believe that that's also a straight-jacketed argument. I think veganism is a kind of rebound of the excessive industrial animal farms. In the real sense, I think what I also put as a question, that flora and fauna go hand in hand. You may not like to eat meat, but for some people, that choice will be there because there are different breeding rates of different species. There is a natural predator-prey relationship. There is a man-animal bonding. So in that, just as we pluck a leaf or we pluck a fruit, or rather we forage, similarly there are, there must be an openness to diverse choices which are sustainable, which and all of that must be respectful. So what I learned from the indigenous communities is that even if you pluck a fruit, you should first bow to the tree with lots of respect that you are seeking a gift from the tree. Similarly, even if they are eating poultry or some kind of animal meat, even if, let's say, after feeding the calf, they are taking some portion of the milk, I think these choices must be respected. Whereas people who want to stay strictly plant-based, vegan on raw food must also be respected. So I think there must be a harmonious coexistence of all these choices, which will together lead us to a holistic solution, and also at a speed which matches, which can overwhelm the rate of deterioration, the loss of livelihoods that will happen when we want the fossil fuel industry to shut down must be compensated at a grand scale by the plant-based economy. It must be able to generate so many livelihoods all over the world. Especially, it should allow migration from the densely populated areas to the scantily populated areas like Canada and Australia, where their dependence on machines and on fossil fuel is primarily because they don't have working hands. Similarly, in certain countries, there are disproportionately high number of elderly people who are not in the working age group. So those kind of imbalances need to be addressed in a holistic way if we are to achieve our vision and our dream and aspirations of a truly plant and I would say some animal-based economy. I would broadly put it as a livestock economy rather than a dead stock economy powered by fossil fuels. So that's one part. The second part, why we need to get lots more ambitious and we need to raise the bar, is that when we talk about currency, we are still trapped into a debauched currency like dollars or the Indian rupee, which we all very well know is controlled by the cabal through the reserve banking system and through the fractional reserve system, by which you just create money like in thin air. So if we want local currencies rather than printing something, why not simply use grain as currency, food as currency, and why not create codes of conduct? Why not create community pricing indices which are mapped to the amount of labor or the kind of harvesting cycle of particular fruits or particular grains. So if we create that kind of a commodity index in every community, like you talk about the eco village or the self-sustained state, then we don't need an actual currency. It could just be information, and it could be like what Bharat Bhushan Tyagiji talks about as a resource bank and as a labor bank. So whatever harvest that you bring, products or services that you contribute gets credited to your account, and whatever you spend gets debited. So by this kind of register, the local community economy works. Whereas some of the residual needs which will continue to be there, maybe there's some global meet once in a year or twice in a year. There may be some tourism, some kind of scholarly visits. So all that needs to be paid in a global currency. For that, we must firstly disown the US dollar or the Indian rupee, and instead we must create something like a Gaia currency, as I have proposed, which is mapped to real assets, and the convertibility to local currencies is also very transparent, very objective, and very fair. So this, I would just like to put this canvas as to and share, seek opinion and feedback from all our participants, and of course from yourself.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Chandrika ji. So, yes, on the first point, Eco Village is not for 40 people. That is the starting team that we are working with. It's for 600 people. That's the design. and a very comfortable design. We're not trying to put in as many people as possible. So, and that's also with an average of 600 acres. So, if we are doing 1,000 acres, definitely we could be 1,000 people also. But so that's a design of its own for a certain model and as per our comfort. But for the regular living model, what I had shared was that across 6,177 acres, having 50,000 people. So that is similar to the wadis or the wadas that we have already been doing much earlier, before all of this modern concrete jungles came. Now, in terms of how slow or fast things can happen, yes, I understand that there is a great emergency right now, and that is why the I put up that entire slide of the committees. So committees get together and can start working within a month's time to change policy within the state. So that's the fast track of having very good domain experts and getting together with them. And of course, that's why I talked about Delhi, meeting in Delhi in the second week. So these things can move at a much faster pace. So of course, this one angle of it is building these eco communities and this new system. The other angle is parallelly working on the existing system, and with the existing policy politicians asking the right questions, and taking up the United Nations, the faulty aspects of the agenda. That can also, of course, it necessarily has to happen right now. Um, so the challenge on that side, but at the same time moving ahead with our solution, because as far as I have seen and we have seen over the decades, there are promises, but with every year that is passing by, the world is just this is the key factor in terms of people's life and the earth. Every day that is passing, we can see their actions that are making holes in the earth. Compared to that, they are putting up these committees and the models and the sciences to do the exact opposite. That is no this. So people, I think, as soon as we create these spaces, and it's not just the eco village, it can be at the space of once this idea is out in any existing village, and we speak to the panchayats and to the authorities about a certain amount of population density and get some understanding and agreement with them. Even existing houses can start happening all across the place within 3 to 6 months. We don't have to wait for eco villages to come everywhere, which will take 1 to 3 years, like I talked about. So the main thing is this: every day we need to put these measures through these committees, and that's the reason I'm talking about it on this webinar also. So the common public also understands these metrics, what I have put today on this webinar, right? Everything from morning to evening, that's just an exercise everybody has to do. What am I taking and using? From where is it coming, and what kind of industry am I supporting? So the action starts from today itself. The action starts from tomorrow itself. Start stepping out of the system and find there will be already some natural, producers of all of these goods. So seek them out in your city, in your communities, and start going to the organic markets and participating. Because once you buy from them, the economy on that side of natural will start building up. Because all of these things are sustained through economy, and economy only comes through people's participation. So yes, definitely we can fast track this. And on your point of currency, yes, I understand that it can be essentially it's a barter, whether it's grains or any other things, and in the system. And if not a barter, you are keeping some digital, equivalent of it in a ledger in your account. And yes, that is also doable, but we clearly saw that that would create the necessity of more computers and all of that for people also to be interacting with those machines. So we thought instead of storing it in the computer, at the point when a currency, when value is created and it needs to be preserved with somebody in a form, we can do these, clay coins and all of that. So that was more to the design of a more natural system. But definitely there's a transition point where we can use computers right now to make all this digital. But I see our design as very natural and organic, so it can happen fast. with COVID and what's going on in the world, it's actually a world war. Third World War is going on between the capitalists and the people who are trying to, hijack humanity's health and trying to, depopulate the planet by all of their medical means. It is very clear that there is a third world war by globalists against people in different countries. Uh, so yes, that whatever actions need to be taken right now have to be taken by the military or the governments or whatever whoever is getting involved. And at the same time, those of us who can do work for this alternative, aspect of creating a better community, we should work on it every day. Yeah. On the point of what you mentioned about the freedom for uh, people to have animal agriculture and to feed on animals, I believe because it is already proven now through the medical sciences route that and evidence based that human beings actually do not need any meat to sustain. So we're leaving it at that point where people will choose, you see, their freedom. They said, I have the freedom to eat an animal. But it should be very clear to people it is by killing life that they are eating it. If people understand something as karma or killing something else, they should be very clear that, yes, this is what I'm doing. For example, animals also have a right to live, and we also have a right to peaceful existence. And so there are two, three aspects of it. One is, of course, not eating animals for the scientific aspect, which is for better health. Second is again for non-violence to the animal species, other species on our planet. And then third is the ecological, devastation that is caused by such a big meat industry all across the globe. Um, so two are directly hitting human beings. That is your daily health and the daily, abuse of Mother Earth. That is happening with every, commercially produced animal that you eat. So yeah, people should know very clearly that their choice of eating meat comes at the risk of by them violating three other rights. Yeah, which is the right to their own good health. That's the first thing they are violating. The second is the animal rights, and the third is the right for Mother Earth to heal faster and give a future to humanity. I think those are much. All three of them standing on their own are much bigger and more important than a person's just choice to eat meat.
Yeah. I'd like to add 2 points. Is that you mentioned that there will be need for more computers and mobile phones when there's a digital register. But it could be made much simpler in a way that price chart could be published every daily or periodically, which could just be on kind of a chalkboard, and that doesn't need to change too much, unless there is an exceptional, drought or some kind of condition. That's number one. The second part, Darryl, what I've been trying to sensitize for, nearly 2 decades of my activism as an ecological warrior is that, there is a non-violence aspect when we talk about animals that I fully appreciate. And I'm also, I'd almost given up meat. I'll be very transparent about it. But the family choices and the kind of milieu you are in, sometimes, I mean, I'm not a complete zero. I do eat meat once in a while. And when you eat it, then, so, but the sense of respect, like just like we have towards animals, towards plants, that we are eating them should be there. But my other bigger point is that the fossil fuel industry is about violence to Mother Earth, and not just to Mother Earth. Through that, the repercussions of burning fossil fuel has on climate disasters, which also take so many lives, so many innocent lives. So similarly, the breathlessness that we can feel in Delhi NCR and so many other places, because of the fossil fuel burning primarily is again an act of violence. So one could be a vegan, but still many of them I see are kind of motor car lovers. They wouldn't give up their motor cars, they wouldn't give up their air conditioners running on diesel generators in societies which have a gentry of highly educated and so-called posh colonies in big cities. So how do you address this hypocrisy and this dichotomy? Why not non-violence should have a fourth thing about giving up fossil fuels altogether? That's also, I believe, an act of violence.
Yes, very true. And let me make it, very clear that yes, people know from. I'm not a, vegan activist. I came into not eating, meat firstly for health reasons, and then of course the compassion was already there from earlier. I was a person who never could chain a dog or keep it closed in the house right from my childhood, which I think is also, not a really good thing for an animal. So to get so stressed up and kind of blare their throat out. So for me, a vegan is not a benchmark at all. For me, the benchmark is an earth keeper, and that's what I've always been since I started doing public work in 2010. And so the earth keeper is that philosophy of non-violence to the humans. So it comes from the healthcare sciences, and it cares about the flow that I shared today, that how plants bring us nutrition and how we have contaminated that entire cycle and causing our own sickness. That's the first part. So earth keepers are into wellness, mind, body, spirit, health. Then they are also into health, and the freedom of other species on this planet. Having come from the deep sciences of natural nutrition, they know that they don't need to access or traumatize animals for their food, and then they are very well aware and working on all the sciences from the indigenous people and all to preserve the earth and not to do all of this fossil fuel work and the mining and all of that. So for me, the real benchmark has always been, and that's what I've been, an earth keeper, because I was also matching with this aspect of non-violence to the animals, and by default, by my behavior itself, I was a vegan, because in 2010 I became a vegetarian, and in 2005 itself I stopped drinking milk because I could see digestive problems with milk. And then in 2013, I just realized, well, I have honey once in 3 months, and I have, eggs once in 2 months. And I really don't care, and if it's not there, and of course, for the animals, I should do it and set a good example. So I gave up all of that in 2013. So that was to support the cause, which is a movement, and it's good, it's fine, but that's what I've been telling all of my vegan friends, that they need to widen their perspective and look at other aspects also besides animals. They need to look at their own health and the health of the planet. So that's been always my kind of interaction with them. And so I by no means am on this kind of on the vegan side only holding that philosophy, but I have always been an earth keeper with all of this. So I think what needs to happen is, yes, all vegans should also wake up, and so many are doing it in our existing groups where I'm sharing, in our vegan groups where I'm sharing all of these summit details. All of them, many of them, are slowly, where every month is passing by, they are taking up these causes as well and seeing them part of integrated, natural life and a necessary part of our future, to protect our future, to have a better future. So I think yes, people are, take even vegans.
Now, the other question on use of fossil fuels as an act of violence, especially in a critical situation like this.
Right. Yes, so of course, I mean, that's the model that I have put across, and even when it comes to solar panels and windmills, of course, creating all of these machines and all that, they also go to factories. Those factories run on electricity. which are run either by coal or by diesel and all of that, right? So it's still making holes in the earth. So that's why we are looking at a very organic, because even with solar and wind, those materials will get, corroded by the time it's another 20 years. And our own children will be calling us so stupid to have, all that junk pile from across the planet to deal with. So that's why the Eco Village and whatever we're doing on the New Earth Summit is trying to make things as organic as possible. Um, so yes, definitely, it is the message that is going out is to every person. Basically, what am I engaging with every day of my life, and how is it engaging with fossil fuels too? So I guess people right now cannot give up their cars if they are in the city. They can do carpooling and all of that, and not drive the car and take the bus or go by train. Those are the things they can do now. But so yes, they can help in that way till the time they find a place like this or start building a place like this where they can reduce all that consumption. And it is almost, yeah, it's come to the place of emergency now. Why I'm saying these drastic things, that maybe I'm designing the place not even to use a cycle or a tricycle. That's only going to be used for senior citizens or for children who will not be okay with walking long distances. So ideally, I would not have even have those. The the drasticness comes from the amount of abuse that has been done, and how much it is already damaging the earth. If we had not caused such an accelerated contamination and destruction, maybe we could have said, okay, let's phase out things in the next 30 years. you know but it's been so badly managed by all these global bodies and the globalists that we are in a terrible situation and we have to act drastically. So I guess people will, according to their commitment and according to their opportunities and their need to do this, the very aggressive people will start making communities where there are no cycles also. The others will say, okay, I need certain convenience, I need some computers, we need some internet, some mobile, all of that. So I guess that's the transition phase. Um, but I truly believe the design that I talked about, for the next 2,500 years itself, it is very organic with very natural things, and no more holes in the earth. That's the first basic thing, because it is already understood how you can live with what's coming up from the surface of the earth and have a complete and beautiful life. So those people who are most committed to it, they will participate first. Let's say that's the first phase, and then we'll have second phase and third phase as people, come in. That's fine. So respecting people's choices and their situations and how fast they want to transit, and some people, if they are still doing the research on the numbers and all, fine. That's their freedom. Let them do it.
So we have another question. What sort of work will an eco-village resident be involved in?
So yes, initially for the first 3 years, and it will all be things that are going into building the community and to creating products, services, routes, and to making the community prosperous. And after that, it would be the ongoing activities that you would see normally that is happening in life. So of course, daily food is produced. Daily there are going to be farmers, teachers are going to be there doing work daily. There are going to be therapists and healers working daily. So yes, so those are the kind of jobs that will be there. You may, I mean, the question is included that, suppose there is a natural home builder, right? And they come into your community and all the homes are built in 3 years. So what are they going to do then, right? Yes, there could be people who are doing, maintenance, or they could be doing some new innovation. And people generally, over a period of 2, 3 years, they learn how to, change their skills as per what is required in the community. Or another beautiful thing that they could do is that once their work, if they feel is complete with this community, they could take all those sciences and technologies and go and create another community. So that is for those people mainly who are in the first phase, who are in the building phase. But as I said, community will keep on expanding, and some structures will happen, and maintenance will be there. So yes, and for the rest of the time, when everything is there, the regular work that you normally do in life. So people will be making probably musical instruments, giving performances, doing paintings, arts, crafts, dance, preparing garments. Those are regular work. Preparing food and so many things. So there's a lot of work for everyone there. And those people who think their work is done, they could leave and go to some other place. And we have got those, transition systems also. We are working out of how the monies and all that can be transferred and how they can get value when they leave.
Thank you, Darryl. We have a question from Teresa. She says, there is someone and a village that practices barter system. Would you like to interact with him on how he's handling it?
Yes, surely. Surely, please let me know about it. I am just going to put my email in the chat, and definitely you can send me, that person's contact. Or if you know me, definitely, of course, you can, directly let me know about it. But in case, Teresa, you're somebody that I have not interacted with earlier, here is my email ID in the chat box. maildarryl@gmail.com. Yeah, I'm looking forward to people who are into natural currency and barter, because even we want to perfect the system that what we are putting in the eco village. So it'll be really wonderful to interact with the person.
So we're out of questions. We've come to the end of today's session. A big thank you to Darryl for opening a new world view that gives us hope towards a healthy future for all and Mother Earth. Thank you to the audience as well for being curious enough to be with us today. We hope this session was an informative one for you, and we look forward to seeing you again tomorrow at the same time on the same link for our day 18 topic, Healthy Community Markets. So namaste and have a lovely evening.
Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Sophie. And thank you, Chandravikas ji. Good night and God bless.